One thing about being in the TV news business is that you are usually better off if Jon Stewart at The Daily Show is not mentioning your name. Usually if you turn up on that show, it is not good for you. There was one time when The Daily Show dinged the show, for something that I said about the Obama administration's response to an international crisis. Jon Stewart dinged me. I didn't think I deserved it, and I dinged back. And then he won, because Jon Stewart is better than me.
Now, when I saw and heard what she said right there, I thought it was completely fair. But when I read what she said, Maddow retaliates against unlikely foe. We're foes, is that it?
Obliterated Rachel Maddow for her nonstop Trump obsession. That clip went viral. But what you didn't see was the history. Oh yeah, these two media giants have been clashing for years, and we've got the receipts. We're throwing it back to a savage moment when Stewart ripped into Maddow on live TV. And trust us, it was brutal. Then, we'll jump to today to see how much or how little has changed. If you live for raw, unfiltered political drama, hit that subscribe button right now. The fireworks are just getting started. Script 2, there's been this low-key feud bubbling between Rachel Maddow and Jon Stewart for years.
Show. I'm a big fan, but no apologies for reporting on which agency is the lead of our national efforts to respond to Haiti.
Now, when I saw and heard what she said right there, I thought it was completely fair. But when I read what she said, Maddow retaliates against unlikely foe. We're foes, is that it? You don't retaliate back at me, young lady. No. So now I'm mad. Until I realized how easy I had gotten off, judging by what Maddow had done to others.
And yeah, it's kind of wild considering they're technically on the same political side. Now, sure, allies can disagree, but when it turns into constant jabs and on-air mockery, you've got to ask, what's really going on behind the scenes? And honestly, I get why Jon Stewart's annoyed. Neither of them is Team Trump, but Matt treats Trump like he's a comic book supervillain, obsessively picking apart his every move. Stewart, he's more laid back, sometimes even defending Trump when he thinks the criticism goes too far. That's the tension right there. Same politics, totally different vibes. And no matter how many times they cross paths, these two just can't seem to meet in the middle. Script 3. You can practically feel the sarcasm dripping from her voice, and Jon Stewart calls it out for what it is. Smug, self-righteous, and
Maddow eviscerates! Maddow eviscerates! Maddow eviscerates! Maddow eviscerates! She's an eviscerating machine.
I do love me some Jon Stewart and The Daily Show. And I have learned to love even when he makes fun of me and of MSNBC in his extremely effective ways.
And totally intolerant of dissent. Maddow doesn't just disagree with other views, she demonizes them. In her world, if you voted for Trump, supported even one of his policies, or dared to question the liberal narrative, you're either ignorant, uneducated, or just plain evil. But here's the twist. Stewart sees right through it. He's not waving MAGA flags, but he's also not out here calling half the country brain dead. That's the real divide. Stewart knows how to critique policies without turning it into a personal hit job. Maddow, not so much. To her, disagreement equals danger. If you're not marching in line, you're the enemy. But she doesn't always get the last laugh. Oh no, there've been a few unforgettable moments where guests came on her show and absolutely schooled her. One standout. This guy right here, Cool.com and Collected, broke down the real reason men, on average, earn more than women. And let's just say, it wasn't the slam dunk Maddow thought it'd be. Script 4, yep, this radical feminist just got wrecked by cold, hard facts. The truth, women don't earn less just because they're women. They earn less on average because they often work fewer hours and are less likely to pursue high-risk, high-reward careers.
Actually, if you start looking at the numbers, Rachel, there are lots of reasons for that.
Wait.
Well,
Don't tell me the reasons are. Do women make less than men for doing the same work?
No, because...
Wow. Okay.
Well, for example, men work an average of 44 hours a week. Women work 41 hours a week. Men go into professions like engineering, science, and math that earn more. Women want more flexibility.
Listen, this is not a math is hard.
No. Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Well,
listen.
If so,
let Rachel make her point.
Every greedy businessman in America would hire only women, save 25%, and be hugely...
Careers. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, full-time men work an average of 8.3 hours a day, while women average 7.6. And when it comes to tough, dangerous, physically demanding jobs like construction, oil rigs, or electrical line, workmen dominate those fields. Naturally, those jobs come with higher pay. But does Maddow ever acknowledge any of that? Of course not. She skips right over the facts and charges full speed into the same tired wage gap narrative, because in her world, it's always sexism, no matter what the data says. And it doesn't stop there. Maddow loves to throw around the phrase, no, one is above the law, but apparently, that only applies to Trump. Because when a left-wing judge broke the rules recently, suddenly Maddow had a very different tune. Script 5, see the hypocrisy yet? When it's her favorite politician or a fellow leftist under fire, Rachel Maddow will twist herself into knots to defend them, no matter how shady their actions are. But the second it's someone she doesn't like, especially a conservative or anyone who challenges her narrative, it's game on. No nuance, no patience, just full-blown attack mode. And that's exactly why she's got beef with Jon.
Russian collusion hoaxer Rachel Maddow was all about no individual being above the law. Wonder what's changed.
Nobody's above the law. We only have one system of law for everyone. Nothing about being an elected official gives you a license to commit crimes or a license to get away with it if you do. Why step up politically and defend a judge or a prosecutor? That's supposed to be a non-political part of our system. It's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible. And it is terrible. He really did have a judge arrested today. Arresting a judge today. Are you kidding me?
Jon Stewart, he doesn't follow her script. Yeah, he leans left, but he calls out BS no matter where it comes from, left, right, or dead center. Stewart doesn't buy Maddow's selective outrage or her one-sided crusades. He sees through the performance, and that shakes her, because when someone from your own side calls you out for double standards, that stings way more than any hit from the other team, and Maddow knows it. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, come on, this isn't a fair comparison, just listen to Rita Panahi break down exactly why Maddow is defending a judge who literally committed a crime. Script 6. Nope. Your ears aren't playing tricks on you. That really happened. Rachel Maddow actually defended a judge who let an illegal immigrant suspect slip out the back door of her courtroom. Disturbing. Absolutely. But sadly, it's part of a growing trend in today's upside-down political circus where the rights, safety, and justice owed to American citizens are being sidelined to protect illegal immigrants. Here's the story. 2 U.S. citizens were reportedly assaulted.
Arrested by the FBI. Now, this is the part of the story that Rachel Maddow failed to tell her audience. Let's hear from Attorney General Pam Bondi.
This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up 2 people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John, you know, it's so rare for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out, she goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom, you're not going to believe this, takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes
ICE shows up to do its job. And what does the judge do? Helps the suspect escape right out the back. And Maddow, she's out here justifying it. What about the victims? What about justice? Crickets. Because in Maddow's world, enforcing immigration law is cruel, but letting actual suspects walk free, totally fine. This isn't just political bias, it's a complete betrayal of logic, justice, and basic common sense. Script 7. Honestly, I'm not even surprised anymore. The left's playbook has become painfully predictable. Remember when President Biden was asked what he'd do if Hunter was found guilty? With a straight face, he dropped the usual line, no one is above the law. Bold words, but completely hollow. Because the moment Hunter Biden actually was convicted, Biden flipped. No accountability, no justice, just clemency, handed out like a favor. So much for standing by the justice system he claims to respect. This is the double standard we've come to expect.
But I mean, seriously, how many times for the past 2 years do we hear leftist media talking heads, leftist lawyers, Democratic senators, congressmen, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris? They all said this over and over and over again. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Oh, wait, yeah, no one is above the law until it's a sympathetic Democrat judge trying to harbor an illegal alien's escape. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, literally, like, these people are just systemically incapable of anything remotely resembling intellectual consistency. I mean, it literally is what is good for the goose is apparently not good for the gander. Now, I happen to agree with Rachel Maddow in those first two clips. I agree that no one is above the law. I happen to disagree with her on what the law is.
If it were the son of a Republican, the left would be out for blood. But when it's one of their own, suddenly it's all about compassion and complexity. It's hypocrisy, plain and simple. And Americans, they're wide awake to it now. Script 8 that for them, ideology always comes before integrity. And honestly, they should be ashamed. Defending criminals and in some cases, outright terrorists over law-abiding American citizens isn't just reckless, it's disgraceful. Look, fighting for fair treatment and due process. That's the foundation of any just society. But willfully ignoring the law to score political points or protect people who break that law, that's a whole different story. We've reached a point where simply enforcing immigration law, defending our borders, or prioritizing American safety is considered controversial, even offensive to people like Maddow. Why? Because it clashes with their narrative. When an illegal immigrant
Particular case, the case of this state judge in Wisconsin there, this is constitutional law 101 stuff, Rita. The Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution is very clear. Federal law is supreme over state law. If federal law says you're an illegal alien, you got to get out, and the state judge is trying to undermine that, that state judge has to be arrested, and thank God that's what happened.
Immigrant commits a violent crime. Maddow's first instinct isn't justice for the victim, it's spin control for the attacker. That's not compassion, that's complicity, and the American people see it. This blind loyalty to an agenda, even at the expense of truth, justice, and public safety, is exactly why trust in mainstream media is falling off a cliff. Script 9. And that is exactly why Jon Stewart keeps taking shots at Rachel Maddow. This isn't just a clash of personalities, it's a battle between sanity and sensationalism. Yes, Stewart leans left, no secret there, but he's still rooted in reason. He's willing to call out the nonsense, no matter where it's coming from. Maddow, she's stuck in an endless Trump loop, permanently infected with Trump derangement syndrome. Administrations have changed. The world has moved on. But Maddow's still spinning every single headline into another anti-Trump meltdown. And Stewart, someone who values truth over tribalism, just can't sit back and watch that kind of distortion go unchecked. He sees the real danger. Constant outrage dressed up as journalism, while most people are focused on the issues that actually matter right now. Maddow's stuck in 2016, replaying the same tired script over and over again. To someone like Stewart, that's not just exhausting, it's irresponsible. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more unfiltered straight shooting content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.